If you have a toothache, you're not no choices, nothing's happening. It's just automatically happening. So on the physical level, also on the physical level, sensation does not indicate long-range consequences. Like you can have a mosquito bite you, hurts, it's it, and then it's gone. So it doesn't indicate anything long-range. It's not about directing or anything about goals or any of that sort of thing. It's just a barometer. It's telling you something. Although the pleasure-pain mechanism holds true for a human being, one cannot live by that alone. Why?
I would say because sometimes pleasure is a short-term type of thing. It's not necessarily best in your long-term interest.
There is meth.
Huh?
There is meth.
Right.
Meth?
Meth.
Methamphetamine.
Feels great.
It was
Or
great
so I hear.
short-term. It's pleasurable at first.
That's a short-term thing.
Yeah. It was yesterday.
Let me see your teeth.
So anyway, the reason
The reason is we're more complex than that.
okay, one of the reasons is we are a conscious possessing organism. So we have consciousness, which entails something different than just, moving through whatever your environment is and gaining whatever you got. And gaining a value entails goal-directed action. Okay? So the pleasure-pain mechanism is not sufficient for a human being to gain its values, and because we have a particular kind of consciousness. It's different than an animal, different than a lower animal. I mean, it's conceptual, as opposed to, I'm saying, perception. So it requires reason. That's what the point is. Okay, so consciousness has two fundamental emotions. What are they? Now, consciousness. Now, I'm not talking the physical body, which is pleasure and pain. But what is consciousness? It has two fundamental emotions.
Suffering and joy?
Yes. Joy and suffering.
Ding, ding, ding. I wasn't sure about whether joy was the right word.
Now, give her the bonus question.
And these are also a barometer of the same alternative, life or death. Joy and suffering. Also a barometer of the same. Okay, joy is a result of attaining a chosen value. One held on the conceptual level as opposed to an innate physiological level. In other words, it's a result of an idea. Joy is, even if you've got yourself set against you, like you like meth, and it has long-term negative consequences. If you're feeling the need, you'll go get it. You're going to feel joy in getting it, even though it has that long-term negative. With it. Okay. I mean, this is all kind of obvious.
May I clarify something?
Yeah.
You just asserted that consciousness has two fundamental emotions. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Consciousness has fundamental emotions.
Two
of them.
basic
Directions to go.
directions to go. Yeah.
Are you sticking by the phrase emotions?
Yeah, I'm going to stick by that.
Okay. All right. I just want to clarify that's what I heard.
Emotions is separate. I'm meaning that separate from physiological, just physiological.
All right.
I'm talking about a consciousness that's
An
involved.
emotion that arises because of the kind of consciousness that we have. It would not arise if we didn't have it.
Yeah. I think that an animal feels pleasure and pain, but I don't think they feel emotions.
All right.
They act angry, but I don't think there's any awareness of any of that. Not on that level. I don't know
All right.
what it is, but
I understand where you are. Thank you.
yeah. Okay. is a type of joy. Now, so we had pleasure held all of this good feeling side, the plus, so forth. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then it breaks down into kind of the sensory level, pleasure, and then the part based on an idea, joy. So this brings in the consciousness idea. Okay. So that's how. This, by the way, is a structure that Peacock developed quite a few years ago. But it's still, I don't want anybody to think this is the truth. But it's a way to have you start thinking about it that will then stimulate you more. So good. So all right. So we got joy over here that's on the conceptual level. Okay. Happiness and suffering. So So
You got joy on there twice.
yeah, we did. We got that. Because joy breaks down into two parts too,
Oh.
which we'll get to. Okay. An organism that lives by means of a conceptual consciousness, the standard of value determining human response is not automatic. Chosen values are not necessarily in harmony with the requirements of survival of the human life. Mess. Can you hear?
Talk louder, maybe we'll get some benefit.
Chosen values are not necessarily in harmony with the requirements of survival of the human life. Can pursue irrational values and gain pleasure of a sort while harming yourself. We already been through. This is the process of when you do that. If you pursue something which harms you, what you're doing is you're inverting your emotional barometer. So now, instead of this barometer supporting you, it's working against you. And this is an issue. Okay? That's why people can get excited about getting meth and then end up with the consequences which aren't good. But it's because their emotional barometer is flipped. Okay? So now it turns us into an agent of destruction in that case.
Sin.
Huh?
Sin.
If you conceptualize it that way.
I would say so. The mechanism is like here it says, the mechanism is like a siren or a demon calling you to self-destruction. So it's like, man,
Oh, siren.
come. It's like the rocks, where they have, I'm thinking in Denmark, they have that statue on the rocks because it called the ships and they wrecked, right? So it's the same idea as that. When one has an inverted emotional barometer, what is the consequence?
Death.
Mistakes.
Huh?
Mistakes.
Yeah. Well, death
Doing
is
the
a
wrong
possibility.
thing.
It's in that direction. Yeah. Anything else?
Politics.
Well,
Huh?
Politics as a career.
I don't know.
Well, the consequence is you can't reach happiness.
well, but going with the flow of what you're left with in the real world is you're left with a sacrificial outlook on life. You're left with whatever matters out there.
Not necessarily.
And, well, I'm just saying it's a common attribute of people who are lost in this way. End up joining some group which just sucks off their being lost and makes a bunch of money for his post.